Warren, what about you? What do you use?
Okay, so I happen to be one of those, you know me, the app junkie. I kind of like to have double, triple, or maybe five times, six, whatever times. I have played with several email clients, and I think as we speak, I probably have four or five on my device. I'm going to be demonstrating some of this for our YouTube channel. But today, though, I want to talk about the K9 Mail, K-9. And the history of it goes something back to the Doctor Who, the dog in there called the K9, whatever that thing is. But the history of K9 Mail is that actually it came out in 2008 when Google released the first Android device. The email client there was not all that good, so the guy, Jesse Vincent, decided to work something out, and this is what gave us the birth of K9 Mail. And so this is the grandpa of all the other email clients that we have today. These are his grannies and all of that. So I would like to say there has been a resurrection of the K9 Mail because I think the last update was like probably 2017, 2016, somewhere in there. And it was kind of like beginning to fall to the wayside. And now we have K9 Mail back. And last week, I think July the 24th to be precise, that it came back modern UI, looking good and all of that. So I'm like, let's talk about it. I haven't used it necessarily. I think the one I used was Aquamail, and all of these things, a lot of them were actually built on the K9 Mail. So it was an open source thing. It's still an open source thing. So people took advantage of that and put their own whatever on it. So I'm going to look into that K9 Mail, and I will bumble through this. I don't have enough connectivity.
Folder, messaging, for Telegram.
And by the way, I am using my dog's voice, Zoe. I got a dog called Zoe. And so this Zoe from Vocalizer. So I thought it is appropriate. Zoe's upside though. So she might bark. So there we go. I'm going to go in now and
Outlook, messaging,
and find K9 Mail.
K9 Mail. Set up a new account. Welcome to K9 Mail.
So when you open up K9 Mail, this is what you hear.
Welcome to K9 Mail. K9 Mail is a powerful free email client for Android. Its improved features include push mail using IMAP idle, better performance, message refiling, email signatures, BCC to self, folder subscriptions, all folder synchronization, return address configuration, keyboard shortcuts, better IMAP support, saving attachments to SD, empty trash, message sorting, and more. Please note that K9 does not support most free Hotmail accounts and, like many mail clients, has some quirks when talking to Microsoft Exchange. Please submit bug reports, contribute new features, and ask questions at https://github.com/k9mail/k-9/
I do want to mention here in passing that at the bottom of this, you have two buttons. To the left, we have
Import Settings button.
And that means you could tap here and go grab some settings that you have already created for your Gmail account or some whatever other account that the K9 Mail supports. And you could just import those settings and make the setup process as easy as possible. And then to the right of that, on the right-hand corner, we have Next.
Next button.
But then I do want to mention here that if you're using Gmail, for example, what you want to do first, though, is to go into your Gmail and create the app-specific password, because if you don't, you're going to get an error saying that it cannot connect to your Gmail, and that's because you need to generate that app-specific password. And also, if you're going to be using IMAP, by default, it uses IMAP, you want to make sure you go into your Gmail account and set it to use IMAP, or else you want to choose the manual and then set up a POP account. So I will now go ahead and tap on the Next. And in this case, we're going to set up a POP account because I know that in order for the IMAP to work, I need to go into my Gmail and there set it to IMAP. So now I'll tap on Next.
Next button. Set up a new account. Email address, edit box.
The first thing that we get is our email address. I will tap here and enter my email address.
Showing English, W, W, A, R, R.
The next field, of course, is the password.
Password, edit box. Showing password keyboard.
And since I'm setting up my Gmail, I had gone in and generated that app-specific password. I will now type in that app-specific password. I will be back. Now that I have typed in my username and password, I need to tap on the Advanced options.
Advanced options.
Tapping on Advanced options, here's what we got.
Use client certificate. Checkbox, not checked. Use manual setup button. Manual setup. Account.
Go ahead and tap on Manual Setup if you're not using IMAP like I'm going to be using POP. So I'm going to tap on that Manual Setup, and I just did that. Tapping on Manual Setup, here's what we got.
What kind of account is this? IMAP button. IMAP.
Next,
POP3 button. POP3.
tap on POP3.
Incoming server settings. POP3gmail.com. Edit box. POP3 server. Showing English.
And so you've got to know the incoming and outgoing servers of your Gmail account. And in this case, since it's asking for,
Incoming server settings. POP3gmail.com. Edit box.
and I'm just going to type in pop.gmail.com.
P P O O P P period G G M M A I L L period C C O O M M.
So I'll just type in pop.gmail.com.
Security.
Next, we go to the security.
Drop down list. SSLTLS.
So that's the one by default.
Incoming server settings.
Next,
995. Edit box. Alt. Worker@gmail.com. Edit box. Username. Authentication. Drop down list. Normal password.
I'll leave it on normal password.
Password. 16 characters. Edit box. Password.
And that's the password that I typed in earlier, the one I generated from Gmail.
Show password button not checked. Client certificate. No client certificate, but next button. Next.
I'm going to tap on Next.
Keyboard hidden. K9 mail. Checking incoming server settings. Outgoing server settings. smtpgmail.com. Edit box. SMTP server. Outgoing server settings.
And now I have to type in the outgoing servers.
smtpgmail.com. Edit box. SMTP server.
So it's already in there, smtp.gmail.com.
Security. Drop down list. SSLTLS.
And we'll leave that by default.
465. Edit box. Alt.
And leave that by default.
Message.
465 is what we want.
Require sign-in. Checkbox. Checked. Require sign-in. Worker@gmail.com. Edit box. Authentication. Drop down list. Normal password. Password. 16 characters. Show password. Client certificate. No client certificate, but next button.
And next.
Account options. Folder poll frequency.
All right, I'm in the account and folder options. And so this is about synchronization here.
Number of messages to display. Folder poll frequency. Drop down list. Pop-up window.
I tab here to go choose as to how frequently I wanted to check for my messages. And I happen to be one of those that don't like my email clients constantly checking my email messages. When I want to check my email messages, I just launch the app. So we'll see what they have here.
Every 15 minutes.
That's every 15.
Every 30 minutes. Every hour. Check. Every 2 hours.
So by default, it's 1 hour.
Every 3 hours. Every 6 hours. Every 12 hours. Every 24 hours. Never.
Those are the options, and I'm going to tap on Never.
Folder poll frequency. Account options. Folder poll frequency. Drop down list. Out of list.
All right, the next option that we have here,
Number of messages to display.
you can go in here and choose the number of messages you want it to display. Let's see what we have.
Number of messages to display. Drop down list. 25 messages.
There's 25 messages. You could go in here and change that.
Pop up with
Let's see the maximum allowed.
500 messages.
500 messages. Oh,
25 messages. Check 50 messages. Number of messages to display.
50 is good
Account
enough for
options.
me.
Number of messages.
All right.
Notify me when mail arrives. Checkbox checked. Notify me when mail
And I don't want that, so turn that off.
not checked. Next button.
I'll
Next.
go tab on next.
You're almost done. Give this account a name. Optional. Edit box.
And this, you can
Type your name. Display.
give it a name. Maybe if it's work, you could say work, or if it's just pleasure or personal, it's just up to you. You could give it whatever name you want. And as a matter of fact, you can call it dog if you want, but you give it a name if you want to.
Give this account a name. Type your name. Displays on outgoing messages. Edit box.
So here's where you type your name so that when you send email messages, people know who it is coming from. Your friends know if it's coming from you or coming from someone else. So here's where we type our name. So I'm going to type my name in here.
Sticker keyboard. Capital W. Capital A. War T. War R. Well done. But Warren. Comma. Gord. N.
So I got my first name there.
Space. Warren. Capital C. Capital A. T. R.
All right, let's see.
Give this account a name. Warren Carr. Done. Button. Done.
I tap on done.
Allow K9 Mail to access your contacts. Allow. Button.
I'm going to allow it to access my contacts because I like that autofill of my email addresses. So I'm going to tap allow.
Keyboard hidden. K9 Mail. Navigate up. Button.
So remember, this is my first time of using K9 Mail since maybe 2013, 2012, somewhere back in there. Now I'm going to look at what we have here.
Blind Android users, I thought this was a joke but isn't.
I want to see how we go about selecting, if it allows one to select all of their email messages. So I am in my mailbox now, and let's take a look at what we have. So I'm going to look to see if there are any buttons here, any settings or anything of the sort. So starting from the top left corner, I'm going to look here. On the top left corner, we have
Navigate up. Button. Inbox.
Inbox, which is just below the navigate top. And then to the right-hand corner, we have like 3 or so buttons. And these are the buttons that we have.
Search.
Search.
Compose.
Compose.
More options. Button.
And more options. Let's go into more options and take a look.
Pop-up window. Sort by. In list. Select all.
Aha, there's the select all. So if you're one of those that want to clean up everything at once, you could simply tap on the select all and everything would be highlighted.
Mark all as red.
And we also have mark all as red. That's another thing you could tap on to choose. Now, the next thing I want to take a look at is to tap on the compose and see how accessible it is to compose an email message.
More options. Compose. Showing English. US. QWERTY. Keyboard. Compose. Edit box. Editing for 2.
So I'm going to type in blind Android users at groups.io.
BBLLIN. Showing up. DDA. Showing up. NNDDUSSEETRRSS at GGTRROUPPSS period I Blind Android users at groups.io. Edit recipient expander button. Subject edit box. Showing English US.
I'm going to type in here just test.
Capital T Gord. The S yes T message text. Showing English.
I'm going to dictate.
Capital B. Voice input.
This is just a test using the K9 mail, period, new paragraph. I hope that this comes through, period, new paragraph. I will stop here and give it a test, period.
This is just a test using the K9 mail. I hope that this comes through. I will stop here and give it a test. Edit box, editing, message text.
And that's it. That's how it works. Now I'm going to go back and see where the send is.
Cut back button. Keyboard hidden.
Finishing the typing of the mail or the email.
Send battery 6. Send. Compose.
Near the top right again, we find the
Add attachment.
Add attachment, which is to the left and to the right of that.
Send.
Send.
More options.
And more options. All those 3 buttons are there on the top right corner. Let's see what the more options has.
Pop-up window. Save as draft. Read receipt. Discard. Read receipt.
That's it. So as you can see, it's a nice email client.
Save or discard this message. Discard button. Message discarded. K9 mail.
And now let's go to where we can see the settings and further customize this email client. We do that by tapping on the Navigate tab near the top left corner.
Comcast refused. Navigate up button. Menu.
When we tap on Navigate to top, which is essentially the navigation drawer, these are the things that we find.
Worker at Gmail. Worker at Unified Inbox. Selected.
There's Unified Inbox.
Inbox 1.
Inbox.
Outbox. Drafts. Sent. Trash. Manage folders. Out of list. Settings.
Settings. And I think this is probably the most important one. So let's take a look here.
Settings. Navigate up button.
When we tap on the settings, here are the things that we find.
Account settings. General settings. In list.
There's account settings.
Accounts.
Accounts.
Account settings. Worker at gmail.com. Worker at Gmail. Account settings. Add account. Backup. Account settings. Export settings. Account settings. Import settings. Account settings. About. Account settings. User forum.
That's the last one. Let's now go back up and look at these other items here, the ones that are important, so we could customize it as we would like to.
Account settings. Worker at Gmail. Account.
I tap in here and here's what we got.
Reading mail. General settings.
So general settings, we've got
account name, worker, default account, send mail from this account by default, account color, the accent color of this account used in folder and account list.
That's the last one in there. Let's go back. Next is reading mail.
Reading mail. Reading mail.
And here's what we got.
Always show images. No, in list. Mark as read when opened. Mark a message as read when it is opened for viewing. Checkbox, checked.
Those are the 2 items in the reading section. Let's go back. The next one is fetching mail.
Fetching mail. Fetching mail. Navigate up button, out of list.
And here's what we got in fetching mail.
Local folder size, 50 messages, in list. Fetch messages up to 32 kb.
So you can go in here and change the size of the email messages you would like to be able to fetch. In other words, if you want it to be more than 32 KB.
Folder pull frequency, never.
And here's the one that I had changed earlier on, setting it to not constantly checking my email messages. But if you want to go in here and choose how often it pulls or checks for your email messages, you can go in here.
Pull folders, only first class folders. Sync server deletions, remove messages when deleted on server, checkbox, checked.
And you could say no or yes, it's up to you.
Mark as read when deleted, mark a message as read when it is deleted, checkbox, checked. When I delete a message, do not delete on server. Incoming server, configure the incoming mail server.
And that's the last one. Let's go back now.
Account settings.
The next item is sending mail.
Sending mail. Sending mail. Navigate up button out of list.
And here's what we find.
Composition defaults. Set your default from BCC and signature in list. Manage identities. Set up alternate from addresses and signatures. Message format, HTML, keep images and formatting. Always show CCBCC, checkbox, not checked. Read receipt, always request a read receipt, checkbox, not checked. Reply quoting style, prefix, like Gmail. Quote message when replying, include the original message in your reply, checkbox, checked. Reply after quoted text, the original message will appear above your reply, checkbox, not checked. Strip signatures on reply, signatures will be removed from quoted messages, checkbox, checked. Quoted text prefix, outgoing server, configure the outgoing mail, SMTP, server.
And that's the last one in there. Let's go back. The next item is
Folders. Folders, navigate up, button, out of list.
and here's what we got.
Auto expand folder, none, in list.
The next one is
Folders to display, all except second class folders.
next one.
Move copy destination folders, all except second class folders.
And the last one.
Folders to search, all.
Let's go back. The next one is notifications.
Notifications. Notifications, navigate up, button, out of list.
And here's what we got.
New mail notifications, notify in status bar when mail arrives, checkbox, not checked, in list. Notifications folders, all, disabled.
Remember, because I disabled mine because I don't like my notifications.
Include outgoing mail, show a notification for messages I sent, checkbox, checked, disabled. Contacts only, show notifications only for messages from known contacts, checkbox, not checked, disabled. Sync notifications, notify in status bar while mail is checked, checkbox, not checked. Notification settings, open system notification settings.
And that's the last one. Let's go back, see if there's any more.
Account settings,
And the last item here is the...
end-to-end encryption.
Let's take a look.
End-to-end encryption, navigate up, button, out of list.
Here's what we got.
Enable OpenPGP support, no OpenPGP app configured, switch, off, in list.
You can enable this and do that if that's what you want.
Configure end-to-end key, no end-to-end key selected, disabled. Autocrypt mutual mode, off, disabled. Hide unencrypted signatures, all signatures will be displayed, switch, off, disabled. Encrypt message subjects, may not be supported by some recipients, switch, off, disabled. Store all drafts encrypted, encrypt drafts only if encryption is enabled, switch, off, disabled. Send autocrypt setup message, securely share end-to-end setup with other devices, disabled.
That's the last one, and it all depends on that first one up here. If you turn this on,
Enable OpenPGP support, no OpenPGP app configured, switch, off.
so if you turn this on, then you should be able to configure the other ones.
Configuring. No OpenPGP app installed. K9 Mail requires Open Keychain for end-to-end encryption, out of list. Cancel, button. Install, button.
And you can tap here to go install it. I'm going to click on cancel.
Cancel. End-to-end account settings.
I am glad this thing is resurrected, and so we have a nice email client to add to the arsenal of email clients that we have. It's a very good email client, and I'm going to be playing with it. If you like it, you should install it and compare it to the other ones that you have and see if this becomes your default email client. And that's the K9 Mail.